Nuggets fans. Let's go!
Hell yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Chicken and the Nuggets, your 11th favorite podcast.
Absolutely.
Yes. We are here, Dude IDK Studios. We're going to talk about the Nuggets. Noah, we have a very special guest.
We do.
Al Jackson joining us to the program,
Yo.
our new
Wow.
Cavaliers correspondent.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We finally have one. Oh, you know what? We famously talked to a Cavaliers podcast who didn't think we were very funny. But
Really? Were they like a serious pod?
They were.
Yeah.
They were a
Yeah.
serious pod.
We were in a basketball podcast network for a while, and
Yeah.
we were not fitting in as well.
They were like sports writers who had like 50,000 followers on Twitter. This was like
Oh.
their podcast, and we've had eras of this show, believe it or not, Al. We've had
That's awesome, though.
certain eras. Yeah. Yeah, you know, we had the Jamal Murray 50-point game era, and then 2 weeks later we had the Jamal Murray torn ACL era, the Suns in 4 era. I mean, gosh, we've been through it. So thank you for joining
Yes.
us.
Well-
Al Jackson, everybody.
It is good to be here. I don't feel like a traitor when I say that I do. I wouldn't. I think I could say cheer for the Nuggets. I like them as a team. Obviously, I'm born and raised in Cleveland, so diehard Cavs fan. Been with them since. I mean, probably went to my first game when I was 8 or 9, and followed the team through the Jordan over Elo and just the different LeBron 1, LeBron 2. I know exactly where I was when the Cavs won the title and like how emotional it was because Cleveland never wins. But being here in Denver. First of all, it was very weird because when I was a kid in Cleveland, before people moved around a whole lot, I remember looking at the Nuggets and like I was like, "Where is that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was like
Cowtown, dude.
It was just like you didn't see. We're so spoiled with NBA TV and clips that you can just like, oh, those are Nuggets. And like the concept of like me going somewhere like to a basketball city back when like Vancouver or Seattle was around, it might as well have been going to the moon. So seeing these unis with like mountains on them, I was like, where is that?
Yeah.
You know?
Up in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Well,
now I'm
yeah.
here. So like
when
it's
my
cool.
parents moved here in '97, they thought it was like the tundra. They just had no idea what Denver was like, and it was still there wasn't a lot around then either.
Like wrapped in buffalo fur. And
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah, they got
You
like
can trade this for a house.
yeah, exactly. It's like it doesn't really get cloudy here, but I think it's okay to have another conference team that you root for.
Me too.
I think I had an obligation go for the Bulls just because that's where my mom's family is from. I don't like follow them, but in theory, I'm rooting for them. So I think that's okay, and it's
Right.
not bandwagon-y.
Thank you. Okay, good. I feel better about myself because when I first moved to Denver, I was doing my talk show, and I had a friend of mine, and she got incredible seats.
Oh, yeah.
It's so strange that the best seats that I've ever gotten to any game are from people that didn't want to go to the games. And you're like 2 rows from the floor, and you're like, you didn't. So like my first couple years here in Denver, I was probably going to 20, 30 home games a year.
Oh, my God.
So I've been following the team. I kind of started with Gary Harris and the
Yes,
bow and
sir.
arrow 3-point era, and
Yeah.
just kind of seen the team evolve and watch Joker just become what he is, which is
greatest
something
basketball
we've
player
never
on planet
seen.
Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something we've never seen.
It is interesting. We've talked about that before, I think. The bottom level, less into the game for sure. The
Yeah.
top levels for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like as much as we have season tickets up in the 300s, and sometimes it's annoying, but sometimes it is cool to be like, no, we're with the real fans up here doing.
I see, like,
But your first opportunity to leave those real fans, I will take it.
yeah, and by real fans, we mean people who are overweight and disabled and who should not be having to climb stairs and like climb flights and flights. We saw a guy who just had knee surgery and his
Yeah,
wife
they're-
was drunk, and they truly almost tumbled down the whole way. And it was it would have been tragic, of course, but nobody really
Helps or
notices
does
when they buy
anything.
those tickets, or it's like
Right.
it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I grew up with an uncle who taught me how to be a fan. My uncle is, I don't know the proper term, but is slow, whatever. I'm old, so I don't know what the right term is, but whatever.
We're all a
Whatever.
little
Yeah,
slow, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but he loves
Yeah,
Cleveland sports.
Jamal
and
Murray after the surgery.
Yeah,
as well.
And PJ also after this.
He's Jamal Murray
Slow. Okay,
after
yeah, way better.
he lost a half a step. That'd be a perfect way
That's really funny.
for your doctor to tell you about your kid. Your kid
Yeah.
is like Jamal Murray now.
Yeah. That's if I was a doctor, I'd just compare people to athletes and stuff.
That's really
Yeah,
funny.
it's his chances of college is like MPJ having another 5 3-pointer game.
Are you
It's
going
not
to get
come
better?
for a while.
Listen, let me just say, look at Ben Simmons and tell me if you think you're going to get better.
That should be a case study in itself, and a whole other podcast. It's just like what happened to him. I watched
They
him
should write a book.
blow it. Yeah, I mean he's got the yips, but he has it controlled enough where he can play. I think we've always seen, there's if you watch YouTube clips, there's tennis players that return the serve and literally hit it over the wall of the, but he's got it to the point where, as somebody that makes prop bets, not bad for the rebounds and the assists.
Sure.
He's good for 6 and 6 a game, and a lot of times Brooklyn does run their offense, especially their half court offense through him. So, when you have a big man that can stand top of the key and distribute, I mean, that's a big deal. It'd be better if he was a threat to shoot even just a
little bit, yeah.
But he was
free
like,
throw.
Did he win Defensive Player of the Year, or was he a finalist? Because
it was close. He might have just been a finalist or something.
He was
I don't
top
remember,
15 in the league when he was
yeah.
on some of those early Sixers teams.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is shocking. I don't watch enough of Brooklyn to really be able to have a grasp on how he's doing this year, but of course I wish him all the best.
I used to bring it up to Noah just to make him upset that the Nuggets should go get him. And
it would make me upset.
Because, like we say, you can run an offense through a center position on the bench.
It would take a lot of he could run the second
as
unit.
As a backup
Big.
5, yeah. That actually entices me, and you pay him $15 million or something.
Yeah, he's like, I'm fine for money.
Yeah, you give him peanuts.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the team this year? We haven't really seen it assembled.
You can't host our show.
Yeah, we had some questions here. I was going to say the exact same thing. I really was.
I'm curious.
But we will answer your question, not because you asked it, though.
Yeah, you're not going to bully us.
No, exactly.
It is very interesting, though. I feel like, we've had the pod for a while. It is fun to talk about a championship team, but I'm more excited to talk about this team a little bit because there's like pieces that I think are there, and then there's obvious flaws that are happening, and then kind of things that have always kind of haunted the Nuggets too, I think, which is interesting because last year even too, I think we were complaining about full games. They haven't really played full games.
Right.
They take quarters off. And now they do that, but they just get beat really bad in those quarters now.
Right.
So it looks way worse.
They start off games terribly, which I feel like it was always kind of the opposite, where we took off the first half or the first quarter and a half and then started playing well. But it really is. Besides that Atlanta game, I don't think we've had an end-to-end win. Or if we have, it's been a handful. So we haven't been dominant in
Now,
any
do you
way.
take that Atlanta win with a grain of salt because
Yes.
Jalen Johnson wasn't playing?
Yeah.
I don't. That's not the reason.
Talk about a parlay kid, huh? He's hitting everything.
Oh, man.
He's really good. I don't know if you know Jalen Johnson.
Have you watched the Hawks?
Yeah.
They're just so long and athletic up front, and they're not there yet. They're still too young.
Yeah.
But they're going to be a problem, and they're a bad matchup for my Cavs. So I'm worried
they
about
beat
them.
Cavs in Cleveland and Boston, or the Celtics in Boston. So no, I haven't watched a lot of Atlanta. I should watch more, but I do know that they're not a fuck around team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think overall it's been interesting too because Nuggets have had bad losses for sure, but also they beat the Thunder without Murray, I think, which might be interesting to talk about. But and so they have a couple, like they could beat anybody still. Like on any given night, kind of.
That's a great point.
But their
They can
floor
lose to everybody.
is so lower now.
We lost to the worst team in the league and the best team in the league in back-to-back nights, or a night
Something
apart.
like that.
And that is actually kind of the most Nuggets thing that they could have done, and is something that kind of they've done before. Like when Houston sucked, they've lost a Houston game. They got blown out by the Knicks last year, also by 40.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of these weird things,
Well, like you're talking about a team that plays 2 halves. They were getting blown up by the Knicks the last time. I think they were down by like 35, 40 at half. And then I don't know what Coach Malone said at halftime.
Yeah.
I don't know what he said.
Yeah.
But they came out and played like their hair was on fire in the second half. But again, the whole thing of not putting a full game together, it seems to be a problem.
Yeah.
Another thing too, and sorry.
No, go ahead.
Some of the things are just, well, really, I would boil it down to like if Jamal played better, a lot of these conversations wouldn't necessarily be happening if we shot our better free throws, or made more free throws. That a lot of this conversation, a lot of little things that are like Jacob said, we can improve on and we know we're good at, that just haven't totally shown themselves.
Yeah. How do you feel as like a Cavs fan? Maybe a little bit outsider.
Well, it really kind of, I was thinking about on the way over here about my thoughts with the Cavs and how it relates to the Nuggets. And for the last 2 or 3 seasons, I've been telling my friends, we just need Mobley to make that leap. Mm-hmm. And he was a super talented guy, 15 and 7 every night, but we didn't have enough firepower around him, especially with Jared Allen being our other big, to really do anything but kind of compete, because we play good defense. And, obviously we were missing Garland for a while, and we were just asking a lot of Mitchell. But this season, it just happened. Mobley is the MFing man.
He's huge.
Yeah, it's
He's
just
awesome.
like, it's almost like if you're like somebody like a Barry White kind of singer, and you just wake up one morning and your voice is like that. I remember reading an article, and he said like his mom called him to come to breakfast, and he answered, and she screamed. She thought it was a dude in the house. Like there's something that happens
That's crazy.
overnight,
Yeah.
weirdly. And Mobley is just, a monster now. And I think that we thought that we were all looking at that last year with Michael Porter, because I've been obsessed with him in a weird way. If I wasn't as lazy, I would be a stalker. I just think he is my prototypical basketball, just 6'8", a jump shot that looks like a pretty woman in a red dress.
KD.
It's
I mean,
so
KD,
beautiful.
right? And that's always the comp, and it looks like it because he can. I mean, it's just such a late release over anybody,
Over
and contested
anybody.
and all the shit. It's silent sniper shit.
Yeah, quick first step, great hops, can rebound when he wants to.
Yes.
Taking it to the paint more in the last 2 years than he ever did. Getting contact, all the shit that he's improved every single year, which is kind of like that's what we ask of NBA players as fans and shit.
I think clearly the Nuggets' second best player this year so far.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well,
almost
you think more than
comfortably.
CB?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
CB has been great, and like kind of quieting all the questions about replacing a KCP and things like that.
For sure.
But if he fouls another 3-point shooter, I might go insane. But we'll figure it out. Nuggets are in particular bad about that.
He's scoring
anyway.
like 16 a game or something,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is just incredible. He's doubling, tripling his scoring from the last 2 years.
Yes,
Do
but
you trust him in a 4-game playoff series?
I do.
yeah,
Wow, that's a big compliment.
yeah.
He's
That's
an
a big
incredible
compliment.
defender, and
He
he's gotten
is.
bigger, and he.
I'll trust him to be out there. It's the points that maybe we'll figure it out.
See,
but-
I still think it just feels
Like,
like when
yeah.
he takes it to the rim, he's not missing. It feels like he's shooting 75% when he's running with speed downhill.
He
I don't
definitely
know.
didn't used to finish as much as he has been doing now. So that's
And I think
probably
it's because of
positive.
his size that he's gained a ton of bulk.
Yeah, well, it's just, I saw early Christian, and he was just such a freak athlete. First of all, it was weird because like when you're at a Nuggets game and he would come in and mop up time early in his career, the ladies would go crazy. I was like, oh, this guy's going to be a star. Because if he can play well enough to get that face on TV more, the ladies love CB.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he does have star potential, dunks on people. A white guy that dunks on people is a thing.
Yep.
And he's just such a freaky athlete. So
And competitive. He's
Yeah.
got that dog in him.
Yeah, went to-
he's a champion. I mean,
went to a
that's-
big school,
Yeah,
played
exactly.
in big games,
Yep.
and that means something.
Yeah.
It really does mean something. I think we're seeing that.
Yeah, and he's figured out to, I think, more than KCP of more of a driving game, I think, around Jokic too, which is very important. I mean, it's so funny because Jokic just keeps on raising these guys, and then they go get paid more other places. But I think and maybe happening with Christian probably eventually, but it's just in a different way, right? KCP was just all spot up shooting, really.
Yeah.
And CB has this little floater mid game that it's just different. Going back to the Cavs, I want to ask you about I think similar to the Nuggets, especially their championship year, they had a core of people of a team.
Right.
Do you think that has affected how good the Cavs are actually kind of? I feel like it's a lost art a little bit.
Well, I think it's a symptom of the small market, right? It's kind of like you're forced. I think the build not bought thing is kind of overused, but I think it also makes a lot of sense.
I think it means everything.
Okay, good.
I don't
Good, 'cause
think
I
it's
don't actually
overused
think
at
it's
all.
bullshit. I think it's totally true.
I think it's absolutely true. We are at Dude IDK Studios.
Yeah.
Nick, Jacob, you guys built this place with your hands. Everything in here you've touched and you've moved, and stuff is broken, and you've been frustrated, and things worked out, and you couldn't believe it. But there's an essence here that has your fingerprints on it. And if you look at a team, every time they try and buy a team, look at like what happened to the Eagles. They bring in all these mercenary kind of guys. Sorry to go a totally different sport, but those guys don't have any sweat equity in this place. It's like, I got paid. Where's the bathroom? Like, they don't care.
It's like the Jets now too.
Yes,
which is
absolutely.
A
I
dumpster
meant to
shit
say
show.
the Jets, not
Okay.
the Eagles. Yeah, but you're exactly right. It's it was one green team.
That's
but,
okay.
you know, it's
They're both
It's
bad
the
this
Eagles
year.
too. AJ Brown's.
Yeah, I was going to
complaining
say
for no reason.
neither of them
Fine.
are great this year.
But I mean,
Saquon.
what changed
Never
the Cavs' trajectory, and what I was sure was going to send us back to the lottery, is I was like, Donovan Mitchell is using this as a rest stop.
Everyone thought that.
And I was like, New York is right there for the taking, and somebody's going to back a dump truck of gold coin up to his house, and he's going to be out of here.
Yeah.
And when he resigned, I'm still such a small market, low self-esteem fan. I'm
Totally.
like, well, this is just this is a weird negotiation tactic to sign for 4 years.
Yeah.
But him staying allowed us to keep this core that has been playing together for a long time. Garland knows where Mobley wants the ball. Mobley knows the days that he doesn't have and he needs to kick it out because Garland every 4 or 5 games will hit 5 threes. There are every like 4 or 5. You're just like, he had 31 points, and then the rest of the time he's a regular point guard.
Right.
But these guys have been playing together, and it shows. They don't have to, when you're either trading pieces or having free agents come in and out, the players are learning each other. And if you've ever played pickup against like 5 older dentists that are in their 50s with knee braces, and you're like, we're going to run these guys. Those guys have been at that LA Fitness since you were in high school,
Right.
you little bitch.
Yeah.
They're about to show, and you're just like, they just know. So Jacob wants his bounce pass here. Jacob doesn't have it. There's a part of basketball that is about understanding what's going on with you and the team in general, and what the other team is doing to you, and what you need to stop.
Yeah.
And the longer you play with each other, you start to know those things, and that's why we see the Cavs with this long winning streak, because they know how to manage egos and how to make sure that everybody eats, but also the greater purpose that, like, hey, we're all right. And I mean, look, Boston's nasty, but I mean, they beat Boston, and they were down 9 in the fourth. And a Cavs team from last year, but 2 years ago, I don't even know if we'd be close to 9, but they would have laid down and been like, well, this was fun. See you guys in the AM.
Right.
And Mitchell's fire doesn't let them do that. Mobley's cool, kind of steady.
He really is. He's really like a quiet assassin.
He is.
He doesn't talk a lot to me, and that bugs people in the NBA, right? In the days of flashy, player podcasts and that kind of stuff. And I respect that as a Jokic fan who has kind of been forced to talk and become more of a personality. But if it was up to him, he would be like a very stoic, like Mobley is. And I appreciate that quality in a world. It's the Instagramification of this world.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's a good thing for a team, especially when you're a leader
Totally.
or one of the top leaders, because when you start kind of side talking coaches, well, I don't know what was up with our game plan tonight. Well, that's people feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That resonates. We're human beings. This isn't 2K where you can, that there's something when like you're a leader. I mean, AJ Brown, it's just like, even when they win, he's leaving the field early, just being shitty.
Yeah.
Just being a little bit, and just that affects other people. I've worked on television sets.
Yeah.
Where just one person that doesn't fit, it throws everything off.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like in your face or anything. It could be very small, what would be trivial, acts or whatever, but that go a long way, because maybe it's an accumulation of that kind of behavior, right?
Right.
Which has happened with a lot of NBA players over time.
Well, it makes me think about, not to bring it, I mean, I guess we're talking about both teams, but Jamal and Jokic's like 2-man game. Jamal's always been like, yeah, we don't really talk about it or practice or anything. It's just kind of like a chemistry thing,
Right.
And I think that's also my biggest thing right now, I think, is that like there's been a couple games where the Nuggets have been either like down by a couple or up by a couple, and it's like, they'll just close it out, and they just haven't closed it out. And it's hard to point at Jokic at all in that kind of thing, but it is still
You
a
only had
chemistry
56
issue.
tonight.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, though. It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
We have the most 10-point fourth quarter comebacks in the league
Yeah.
this year, which I know that's a fact unless it's changed. So there are a lot of, and we also have one of the best 3-point percentages of the league this year, and which
is crazy,
all these things do not track with how the team has actually been playing, and that's frustrating.
Yeah, or even like the style, right? I mean, Nuggets
Totally.
are number 1 in free throw attempts, which is
Right,
great
yeah.
and never
Right.
happened before, and then last in percentage
Yeah.
in free throw percentage.
That's a problem.
Which is very bad.
Yeah,
So,
dude.
Are you guys bringing DeAndre Jordan in to shoot your technicals?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, he's a
I mean-
designated hitter for all of our free throws.
Yeah. And it's hard.
He's crazy.
It's hard to dance around it, but Jamal's also been bad at free throws.
He
which
has,
is
and that was
insane.
always
Yeah.
that was always a rock. I was always a rock where if
Uh-huh.
he's not playing
90%.
super well, yeah,
90%.
dude, yeah, 90 and above for his whole career basically, because his father would abuse him if he didn't hit his free throws.
Oh, you
famously.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you? Let me ask you guys this then about the Ben Simmons thing. Is there a
Oh,
part?
please.
Is it mentally with Jamal more the issue? Because I think it's a combination of both. I think almost at this point.
There's definitely physical,
Yeah.
and there's yeah, I agree.
Okay, because there's just been times. I mean, sometimes he's tossing up shots and then he'll just stop. I think, and then maybe it's like he doesn't want to shoot his way out of it a little bit, and
Right.
like affect the team in that way. But I don't know. How do you feel?
Well, I
about
would
it? I mean,
push back-
vibes are at all-time low. I think.
I would say, first of all, vibes are at a particular low. Did you see that Calvin Booth, Michael Malone thing?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much we want to talk about that. I don't care too much because
Yeah.
if we win 4 in a row, I think a
nobody
lot
cares.
of this shit turns around, as with all sports.
Winning
teams.
cures everything.
It
for sure.
sure does. And I had a point, and that I can't remember.
Jamal vibes down.
Jamal vibes. What the fuck was it? No, move
Okay.
on. Let's move on.
Well,
That should be an app you can get on your phone. Like, what are Jamal vibes today? Oh, they're
Yeah,
down.
exactly.
that's
All
what
right.
yeah. I'm definitely not betting the over on
I'm gonna
Jamal
keep it low
points.
pro today.
Yeah. It's just there's not getting by people he should when the Nuggets need
This is
him.
what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no.
I would just say I would push back of making any sort of Ben Simmons comparison because I feel like Ben Simmons, his problem was part of his problem was the indignation about like not admitting that he's lost a step or not. And I haven't seen the I think Jamal is aware that he's not playing well. I don't think there's a lack of awareness on his part.
Look, I hate the outside of basketball stuff in general, but when Nuggets fans are making fun of him a lot for going to like a UFC game in between games
Oh, I didn't
or a
know that.
UFC fight,
That is dumb, though.
yeah, he did, and they're like in the middle of their 3-game losing streak, and he's like on Saturday night at a UFC game. Usually, I don't care, but for some reason, he just had like a hood on, and he just seemed like bad, vibe. Like if he was like having fun, I think I would have liked it more. I think. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you went there and you're being shitty there too.
Well, the Bulls famously let Rodman go to Vegas. Like, I think it was
Yeah.
during like the conference finals or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's what do you do when your leader has got I'm pissed off vibes
Yeah.
a lot. That
And he
definitely
just
trickles
got
down.
paid,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's not a whole lot for me other than he's angry at the situation that he's not playing well. And whatever this
Yeah.
new stuff about the rift between Calvin Booth and Michael Malone, but there isn't really anything as far as the team like cohesion and the guys liking each other, not any backstabbing or actual locker room shit. I think it's all about performance. I don't think any real off-court shit is happening. Still, I think these guys still love to play with each other. They have incredible respect for Jokic and will do anything he asks them to do.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they haven't played with each other a lot either. Gordon's been out,
Yeah.
which is
No,
big.
totally.
He kind of is the Ben Simmons of this team, but he can score when he wants to. People
Yeah, yeah.
forget that he was the number one in Orlando for a while. He was drafted to be that guy. So
Yeah.
he has one of those weird personalities that was able to acquiesce to being a clear number 3, a la almost a Chris Bosh kind of personality where,
cool.
people forget Chris Bosh is 26 and 15 in Toronto.
Yeah.
and to come in and say you're going to get 0 or 2 plays called for you. People in the media will be basically calling you every name but a child of God for being, subservient to LeBron and Wade.
Right.
And to embrace that because he wanted to win. And how we look back at that now is a big deal. And I think Aaron Gordon should be looked at in that same vein.
Yeah,
he's cool being a garbage man. Great with the assists, 5 or 6 a night. He can have double-digit rebounds, but he's always 7 or 8 a night. And some nights he'll give you, he can go anywhere from 13 to 24.
Totally.
Yeah.
And he started making threes, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, I would say that there were a bunch of great articles when the Nuggets went on their run, but I don't know the source, but there was an article I read that was really interesting to me because it was talking about how AG was misused for the whole first part of his career. That the Magic did not understand his utility as a basketball player, and then when he went to the Nuggets had a clear spot for him, and he finally found what should have been his role in the NBA from the beginning.
Right.
And that kind of stuff is super interesting to me because you see him on the Nuggets now, and I can't imagine him playing anywhere else.
No.
It's just so weird to me.
Yes.
It's very, very weird.
And especially expected to initiate the offense,
Yeah.
bring the ball up the court
Right.
a lot. I mean, it's crazy. And I think he does really well along the baseline in that dunker spot.
Yeah.
He's going to grab offensive rebounds. He's a threat to anybody that's trying to shade over and help defensively. He's always there for the lob. And I just think it's where he should have always been. So, having him top of the key initiating the offense, I think it was a very strange move by Orlando.
He was telling us that with the dunk contest. He's like, this is not, this is where I'm living. This is where I want to play.
Right.
And, we didn't let him. But I teared up at some of those articles where it's basically like, this could have been AG's career trajectory. If people just kept misusing him and not understanding his game appropriately, then he could have never become a champion and would have had a totally different NBA career. And that shit just...
I wonder if we're looking at that right now with Zach LaVine.
Oh, boy.
I mean, he has nights where he's hot. He is, but I don't know if he's a traditional 2 or a traditional 3 or like what his role is. But he's been paid too.
I was going to say he got his money.
Yeah, I wonder if after a while he's going to be okay going to a team and being like, I'm fine being the number 2, being the number 3.
Yeah.
Because everybody ain't built like that.
No.
A lot of people are like, I want to play. I don't want to be the face of this franchise.
Yeah, there's a lot of players like that, and it's like somebody's gonna find him too, or like who can go down kind of a role and be a thing, somebody who sticks out to me.
No.
Which I don't. You probably will hate this too, but
I'm so curious.
I think if the Nuggets got CJ McCollum and just had him shoot threes on the team, he would just destroy with open threes.
Yeah.
On the team. And he doesn't have to do anything else.
Well, don't worry, he won't play defense.
I was going to say he's not going to play
that's
defense, and I'm not totally sure that the CJ McCollum 3-point master that we saw in Portland is really there. He's still. I think he's still the highest paid player on the Pelicans, which is kind of wild. Is that true?
I think so, but there's a lot of players like that too. I mean, like if Brandon Ingram had a smaller role in the Nuggets too, he would average.
You actually would like that,
yeah.
But that's what we're talking about. These guys have to have even smaller roles than the teams they're on right now, which are reduced roles from what they kind of their potential was.
Also with AG being gone too, I think the Nuggets don't have the depth to survive anyone being out now. Pretty much, so like when he's gone and then when AG's back in, they're just so much bigger of a team.
Yes.
And that's why Vlatko was
absolutely.
awesome.
Yes.
And Vlatko for the 2 games he played, it was like a huge difference.
But for as much as I was clamoring for MPJ at the 4, and I think offensively it does opens up some stuff. At defensively, they were just giving him rebounds and getting backdoor cuts on him all day.
Yeah,
and it's like AG is so important in that respect to kind of even move MPJ to the 3 and have him not be as a defensive liability at the 4 as much.
Yeah.
Because then it didn't really work out.
I do have a question about MPJ I want to throw at you guys.
Yeah.
Do you think that he at least is maybe coming out of a severe depression?
Yeah, there's nobody who's gone through more shit than him in an offseason.
I'd look at him
anybody.
how are you standing upright right now?
I kind of think it's basketball must make him happy. He loves to ball, right? And that sounds superficial, but like there's no way he'd be able
Yeah.
to cope with 2 separate family tragedies within a calendar year if
Right.
it wasn't a
Yeah.
way for him to cope with it.
We added 20 pounds too
Yeah.
of muscle, and part of me wants to be like, well, he's
He
probably
just
just
wasn't
eating
thinking-
a lot too. And
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm like, I could do that.
kind of just eating a lot.
Holidays just starting.
I was
Yeah,
thinking he
yeah.
was disassociating, like I've been doing the last few months
Yeah,
until
yeah.
January, and just not totally accepting everything.
I think there's some of that.
Well, and like we talked about, we've even mentioned on the show, and if you told me when MPJ was drafted that he would be the least problematic Porter brother, I would not have bet that, because we knew him as like an anti-vaxxer, super pro cop, religious,
Flat earther, probably,
flat
right?
earther,
Oh,
perhaps.
for sure.
Like things that would
curious.
behoove
He's
itself.
curious. That's
He's
fine.
curious, but that could behoove himself to controversy, as some NBA players have been embroiled in previously. But I love him. He's also been the most durable member of this team for like 2 straight years.
And thinking about how he was viewed coming out
Right.
of college with the back injuries, I don't think anybody thought that was going to be.
It's like a miracle almost.
It
Which
is.
goes to his point of view that or the Earth was created in God's image and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is cool as hell.
Which is cool as hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
And something we support on the podcast.
Yeah,
I do personally.
Yeah.
I just want to see him find his ceiling and stay there for
Yeah.
a season. So I feel like we saw it last year, but just like I'm so selfish. I just love watching him play. And there're just some games where you can just tell he's frustrated. Shots not going in.
Yeah.
Sometimes it affects him defensively, and you can see him kind of fade from the game where you're like, oh, he's been playing
Yeah.
this whole quarter, and
Yeah.
he just like
He just can't do
he
that
doesn't make
anymore.
that switch where my shot's not going in. Let me double down on the defensive end and like hopefully jumpstart something. He just kind of drifts. So
Yeah.
that's the only worry I have with him.
If you're hitting parlays, I don't know if he's hitting them anymore, but for the first month of the season, over assists.
Oh, wow.
MPJ, he would get 2 assists a game, and that was always 0.5.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, I mean it's there.
People,
Point-
because he was
honestly-
like a meme that he wouldn't pass, and I'm like, he's passing right now a little bit.
Speaking of the Porter brothers, the reason that I wasn't shocked that his brother was shaving points
Yeah.
is as somebody that bets almost exclusively prop bets. I would bet on his brother. His brother's like what, 6'8", 6'7". He would play 18 minutes a game, and his assist over under would be like 1.5, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, he's gonna hit
In
that.
18 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, if his rebounds would be like 3, I'd be like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
He plays sometimes. I'm like, and then I remember I was picking my girlfriend up from work, and I was looking at his stats. I was like, he only played 4 minutes, and that was the eye injury game.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I noticed it just as a casual fan, like that's
Yeah,
very
weird.
strange. And then if you're gonna do that, like take a year of improv classes and like get
Yeah.
you have to get. Yeah, I always said like if you're gonna kill your spouse,
Yeah.
you need to take 3 years of like intro to acting.
Totally.
Like she's dead. Oh no! Like you can't.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta.
yeah. You gotta lay
You
it
gotta
out
be
there.
ready because the cops are looking.
Yeah.
Especially if it's your spouse. You're the number 1, 2, and 3 suspect.
Without
so-
a doubt.
If you're on
Yeah.
the court, you got to do some Rocky-like shenanigans. And,
Yeah.
like, step on a rake.
Yeah.
and hit your
Exactly.
Go
Slip
into
on a
the
banana
scorer's
peel.
table. Yeah.
Just like I.
Dive into
Run
the
on
crowd.
ice in place.
Yeah.
Oh, the Porter Jr. brothers back out there.
Yeah, it's a shoe.
That's really funny. But
Well, we stan him, and this is a word I've learned
good.
recently. We riz Michael
Oh.
Porter Jr. and we're
think
down
that's
with
right.
his various riz.
yeah.
But yeah, because I really did. I was very concerned, injury notwithstanding, but just kind of like, is his head in the place that it needs to be for this team? And by this team, I mean everything around Nikola Jokic, and he absolutely has played the part incredibly well.
Yeah. And as much as like Jamal's off the court stuff, I mean, MPJ could easily be like, yeah, I want a bad team to go play and score on, And then
Yeah.
what do the Nuggets do? Probably have to trade him, probably,
Well, let me ask you this, because when you say Jamal's off the court stuff, you mean the UFC thing? Because
Yeah,
other than
and
that,
then-
he's not. I don't. Is there a body language
Well,
issue
on
that
the
I'm
court,
missing?
I mean, he threw the bag at the end of the playoffs last year onto the court.
I guess so, man. I guess so.
Yeah, there was that video of him recently, just like Aaron Gordon was trying to get a huddle. Did you see that? And he
Yeah,
just
I
kinda,
did.
like,
well, yeah, but like these are. I think.
Oh,
Toss it
really?
off to the
That's
side
a
a little
big
bit.
deal.
But he was trying to get a huddle from the whole team, and nobody was.
Yeah,
This
but
is this. I think is really grasping at straws.
Okay,
Because when I think of, what do you think of when you think of off the court issues? I think of somebody has hurt their spouse
Yeah,
or
yeah.
their child or drugs.
well, nothing like that. But I mean,
That's what I mean.
yes.
I think of behavior that's
Not suitable.
not suitable, and it's appearing on social media.
Detrimental to the team.
Whether it's just even if it's just you going live talking about I don't think COVID is real or something.
Yeah.
It's going anything that the coach has to answer, he already doesn't want to take
That's
questions.
right. And I don't think
going
Jamal's
live
there
when you're
yet.
getting a blowjob?
I was just gonna say he's been there before.
Right.
He's
Oh,
put
yeah.
pornography out on the internet.
Which
And-
was crazy.
Yeah, nobody talked about it because you know why? He's got that fucking ring. I put it into my pinky like
and
they
she
wear
was-
it on their
yeah,
pinky.
And she was
Yeah,
hot.
I would wear it.
And she was hot, so that's fine. So.
Was she
Yeah,
hot?
I think they're still together. They've been together for a while, so let's not
we don't have to
tread in these
this
waters.
Is literally how
please.
we're ending. I
yeah,
think
that's
so.
terrible.
They gave us the
Is
wrap
that
up
the right
sign
time,
when
or
we
have we
brought
been
up-
doing longer than
We've
that?
been doing longer.
Okay.
That's been the wrap up sign from Nick because we've talking about the Jamal Murray sex tape thing.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Al.
dude.
This
Oh,
is
I wanted to
great.
ask this:
Please.
Is Al short for something?
Albert.
Okay.
Yeah, old school. It's an old school name. It's like you don't. That's like in the era of names. The guy's name like Gerald.
Are you happy you're Al instead of Bert? Bert Jackson.
I think I would have been a movie star if I was Burt Jackson.
Burt
Yeah.
Jackson
Starring
sounds
Burt
good.
Jackson.
Wow,
And
that's great.
some
When
chick.
when Jacob
Yeah,
said
yeah.
we booked Al Jackson, at first I said AI Jackson. Who is that?
Well, there is. Of
course, that's
there's
confusing.
a children's book author who's a woman. Her name is not Alice or anything, but she goes by A.L. And she grabbed up all the Al Jackson. I'm like, that's not your name. You're a white woman. You cannot take Al Jackson.
Yeah.
Like,
A.L.
can we have
Jackson.
something?
All right,
Yes.
shout out to Al Jackson. We
Al
hate
Jackson.
you.
Yeah,
We hate you.
Multiple podcasts, right?
Yes.
Go to
Yeah.
Al
Plugs.
Jackson on Instagram.
Yes, all my stuff is on Instagram. My one podcast, My Safe Word Is More, I do with my girl Corinne Kaplan from Survivor. And obviously the Daily Blast Live 2.0, which is daytime talk after dark that we do at what studio? This studio.
That's right.
Shout out to Dude IDK. So yes, check us out. All the
Yeah.
clips, all the good things. And Al Jackson on Instagram.
basically
Al Jackson IG.
Basically, the Bronny James of podcasts, right?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Who's this? Us or?
No, the daytime talk.
Yeah, it really is.
So I take it as a compliment.
Probably James can ball. I'll take
Yeah,
it.
he can.
That's
All right,
That's
he can.
Follow us on Instagram at
Yes.
Chicken and Nuggets and on Twitter at Nuggets Pod. We haven't tweeted ever, so don't. I
No,
don't even know.
but follow us also individually. We
Yes.
each have our own lives. You know, my birthday is coming up. I'd love some birthday messages.
Yes.
And
Is
Merry
that all
Christmas.
you want? You don't want any presents?
No, of course I want things.
Okay.
More than anything, I would like items. I don't care about your messages. But thank you so much. Thanks for coming
Sorry, we
out.
have the same
Thanks,
hat
guys.
on. The
Yeah,
entire
I know.
time.
It was fun, though.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Bye.